you. What is up, everybody? What is up? Thank you for tuning in. Happy Thursday. The weekend's almost here, guys. It is almost here. And as promised, a special episode with a special guest. As promised on Tuesday, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being present tonight. And if you're new, welcome to the team, the Comfort and Chaos podcast, brought to you live. We try to go every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes work gets in the way, guys, but hey, we make it happen. But hey, live, 8:30 Central Standard Time. Uncut, unedited, unfiltered. You get the bee's knees here, team. The bee's knees. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, if you're watching later on previous recorded, by all means, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, join the team if you like the content, and don't hesitate to comment, interact, engage. We encourage it. We learn from each other. We engage each other. We understand each other. All right. So thank you guys for being here. Special guest, special topic, as promised. As you can see, probably on the title headline. So, let's get ready, team. Kick your feet up, get your wine, get your Comfort and Chaos tea, your water, whatever, and get ready to enjoy the show, team. Oh, yeah. Here we are. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining. I have to get used to it because, as you know, when I do the solo recording, I always have the camera closer over here to narrow it down. But I always remember when I have a guest, the camera goes center. So I have to remember this, guys. So thank you. As you know, the monitor's over here. So I watch the chat. So bear with me, team. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being present. Another episode here. And as you can see, we have a familiar face. You know, I'm sure you guys can see. Familiar face from our last episode, Mr. Rivera himself, Thank you for being here, dude.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yeah, heck yeah. Repping the UTSA, guys. That's what's up. Those of you who don't know, that's like there's Harvard and then there's UTSA. Yep. So just remember that.
Stay strong, San Antonio.
That's right. But hey, guys, we got an interesting topic. We want to go over today. It was something that I definitely wanted to tie in on during the last time we had our special guest here, guest host. And obviously we ran out of time, but it's okay because luckily he lives in the same city as I do. So, and we work in the same building, so we engage each other and we were able to come to a deal and draft a contract, and he was able to secure another episode.
Okay. Easy pay.
There you go. But guys, as you know, we're going to get started. We have to do our quick little, PCCs, PCIs. As you know, we got our Comfort and Chaos tea. Here you go. Cheers, bud. Cheers. Comfort and Chaos tea. We have our Discipline Devotional. And of course, our Cannachinos. You guys already know. We got to go with the Zins. Okay. All right, guys, so Discipline Devotional for today, before we kick off this episode. So this is going to be more on a poem kind of setting. It's going to be shorter. It's titled Begin. Okay. So just listen up like as if you're reading, you're in poetry class. Okay, those of you who ever took poetry class, I took a few of those classes, I think, and then I was like, I was in that window when you can drop the class with like a W or something so it doesn't count against you, GPA, and then you go get another class. And I ended up dropping it with the W just so I was like, this is not for me. I'm going to go to a different class, different elective.
3 days work.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so onward, team. Begin. This is where it begins. In the darkness, before the sun and the birds and the world, every day. When the alarm sounds, it is time. Rise, despite the fatigue and the soreness. Curse the warmth of the bed. Curse the comfort of the pillow. Fight the temptation of weakness. Get up and go. Do it quickly. without thought. Do not reason with weakness or time. You cannot. You must only take action. Get up and go. Man, plain and simple right there. I'm going to tell you how many times you can tell me this. This relates in our line of work. How many times have you, that alarm goes off in the morning and you're just like, 5 more minutes.
Every day.
I got to admit, man, every day that alarm goes off. Let me ask you, how many alarms do you have set up on your phone?
I only have one.
Okay.
To
Hey,
be honest.
that's discipline. That's good. That's good.
Then half the time I forget to set it up. So
Ooh. There's been times where I would literally have to set like 3, and I know people that do that all the time, but there's the times because that temptation of just like 5 more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 3 more minutes. Okay. Snooze. Okay. My final alarm just went off. Okay. Now it's time to get up. So I've learned that it's like, okay, what's the point? Just set the alarm at the time you're going to get up and just get up. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, but that kind of hits at home, guys. Don't hesitate. Just get up, go. Just like it says, get up, go. Don't even compromise with time. Don't even question the comfort of the pillow or the warmth of the bed. Just be like, yep, go. Just get up. Do like 10 push-ups. It always wakes you up, But yeah, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get onward with this and get right into the shenanigans, guys. Okay, so last time you were here, we learned a lot about you. We learned a lot about different facets of the way you operate as a leader. We discussed certain topics, and one of the important topics, though, that we didn't get a chance to cover, and that is one that I'm pretty sure a lot of us are familiar with, and that is faith in the military, and just how important, I'm curious to know too, is how important is faith to you, a belief in that higher power and how it applies to you as a man and in the military career, as a whole, so by all means, I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oof, that is rough. So for me, faith starts at home.
Okay.
And home is not like, your household. It's in here.
Ooh, okay.
Inside. Because you have to decide to believe in something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's different facets of religion in different sects, right?
Yeah.
So I think like when you believe in something, it gives you like a sense of purpose behind it. Mm-hmm. So now after believing in it, for me, since I always grew up in a household of Christians,
okay,
different Pentecostal, Catholic, then Baptist, stuff like that.
So you kind of always surrounded in a realm of like religion,
right. So from that, and then reading the scriptures and stuff like that, and don't get me wrong, like I have yet to understand everything in that scripture. Like to me, how it's given to me nowadays, it's a journal of what has happened in the past, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And I think from that journal, we get to see what life was like in the past and what type of sense of faith they had back in the day, and then how you can relate to it now, basically. So for me, relating to the past and how I apply it today is applying that I believe that there's more to life than just us being here, and that we were created from a type of being or some type of purpose. And we're here to always kind of like test ourselves and kind of see if we're willing to do more and better of ourselves, because, it's rough for us, right? As far as the Christian society goes, we started with sinning. So we all grew up as sinners, right? Yeah. Is what I was taught. And so from there is every day is a testing a test for us to be better from that sin, like get away from those sins, right? So I think like in general, like for us as soldiers in the army, and just to relate that back home as well, is that we have to have something to believe in order for us to be able to give that purpose for our children, for those who we lead as well. And then from that, like believing in something, you can find a purpose behind it, and purpose is the big thing. I mean,
I
nowadays,
think everybody looks for a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
So
because
especially in today's age.
Oh yeah, I mean, people
with
don't.
social media and stuff.
Ooh, boy.
People just look for a purpose.
Yeah.
It's like they're crying for a purpose.
Oh yeah, I think people are confused just in general because they don't know exactly what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So they look for something to believe in, and once they believe in that, then they have a sense of purpose, a sense of, hey, I can do this thing.
Yeah.
And I know that I'll do something great from it. I just have to be able to believe in myself first in order to do that. And I think that's where it comes down for me to be a father figure, for me to be a leader at work, for me to bring the money home. Like I have to believe in myself, and believing in myself allows me to believe in God in general, to give me that sense of purpose of what I am today. So me having a family is he provided that to me and said, hey, I think you deserve this family, but you need to lead this family onward until you're done, basically. And so it's a journey for me to write my own journal, to able to establish that belief system, and then for my children to follow or to be better than I was in my sense of purpose. So I think that's where my faith comes into play. I think that as long as I continue to read the scriptures that I'm giving, as long as I understand what is written and I can interpret it to my best ability, that I can provide that to my children, to my family, to the people around me in the best ability. Like, I mean, at work, it's different because you have people who come from different religions, right? Different backgrounds, everything. So you have to be able to relate to them as well, so that way they don't feel offended by the things you say.
So let me stop you there, and if you can explain here to the team, but like the military, all right, being in the military, how does the military like attempt or integrate faith or belief?
So I think, and I don't have the answer to this, but my interpretation,
I guess what is like, how does it, obviously, there's a chaplain assigned to a unit, and you're going to have a military force with a bunch of different beliefs, so just what is the outlook right now, or the perception with the, not putting yours aside, just as a leader, from a leader now,
So I think there's opportunity for everyone's faith. And I think that's what they put in place as far as it goes. Like, everyone can still do what they need to do as far as their faith. The rules go for their faith and everything. I think what it comes down to is, for us as leaders, is the challenge to give them time to do what it is that they need to do.
Yeah.
To be able to pray in their own religion.
Out of respect, right?
So that's where we find difficulty in the Army, just because of, we're trying to be a lethal force the entire time, but we got to be able to allow everyone else to do their thing in their faith while still maintaining our like security or something.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I think that having like the chaplain is a great resource, to be honest, because that person not only has one religious background, but they have an open door to connections of other chaplains and other faiths. I think that's where we try to, hey, this is the chaplain and that's it. That's all they serve as a faith. But technically they have connections to other chaplains who serve in different avenues, different faith beliefs. And so like it helps us understand like the type of soldiers we had, the type of people we have in front of us, so that way we can provide that to them. Yeah. And so sometimes we may not understand certain individuals with certain faiths, because some people are like very 100% or more like religious, right, into their faith, and that's totally fine. There's nothing against that. It's just we have to be able to understand who we have in front of us and the resources that we can reach out to. And that chaplain is a great resource, to be honest, with that being, because they let us know what's going on outside of that and how we can obtain that resource for that individual particularly. So I think the Army has a starting way, a continuous way, as far as it goes. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a function. It's being utilized as long as we continue to provide that to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think from my experience, one thing I've experienced is when it comes to faith or religion in the Army, in the military, the Army I've known is actually very respectful. I think that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
I know that now, as opposed to when I first came in, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
But now the Army has definitely adapted and have a realistic perception towards a respectfulness attached to everyone's belief, and no matter what it is. I mean, I can tell you, I've had soldiers, who can grow beards because they believe their religion is some, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a Nordic Viking, belief, that's their religion. And so the Army allows for them to do that. Like leaders have to adjust, there's obviously, there's a large Jewish population in the military. So they have certain times of the year where they just like, hey, you have to respect their time,
Mm-hmm.
and give them that time to go pray and go do what they got to do. Ramadan, there's there's Muslims,
yeah.
so there's Ramadan. So you have to respect that, and the Army is very respectful of that, and they articulate that down. And that is definitely a plus, I would definitely say. Now, foundationally, it is a very, America as a whole is foundationally like a Christian base,
Mm-hmm.
And that, if you guys don't believe me, read your history books, yeah. And the Army has foundationally came up on the same premise, but now it is adapted, it is definitely adapted. Now I'll ask you, so you had mentioned earlier, as far as, let's say, do you think, I mean, I know I myself know, anytime someone is like going overseas or we're in conflict,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to see more Bibles being passed around, and taken in, and I'm just curious if you've ever experienced that, you've seen people kind of take up a faith knowing that time is coming,
Mm-hmm.
they're going somewhere, they're going to a foreign land, they're mobilizing, they're packing up, they're getting on that C-130 and they're heading out, and it's like, okay, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think in general, like you said, America is very like heavy on the Christian foundational.
Yeah.
Yep. So like 100% of the time, yeah, they have like a lot of Bibles. They may not have a Torah or any other faith booklet, but that's where they like excel at when it comes down to it, right? Because America is Christian driven to not 100%, but to a certain extent, right? So I think with that being said, you have to be very aware of the environment you have in front of you and who's around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because with that being said, you have to know and understand the people. The people believe not what you believe in. They might believe in something else, and we have to be able to get that. I think the now and day, the way we're looking at the Army, and as we deploy now, I think they're trying a little bit more to be able to provide those resources as much as it goes. But I think when I deployed back in 2009 and 2010, like
Yeah.
I went to Bible study. Like that was the first thing being preached. Like, hey, Bible study this time, be here, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the thing that most of the chaplains knew. So we didn't have like different faiths. I mean, we were in Iraq at the time, so it was either, you heard the songs outside or you go to Bible study. So like I would go to Bible study, and at the time I wasn't 100% into faith either. I was like 50-50 on this point. But from going to that, like I learned to learn more from the Bible from that. And I think from that, like it grew me more into a Christian, I guess. And I think it's not so much as more of a Christian, but I think my relationship with God got better. Because I think at that time before all of that, I didn't have a strong relationship with God.
Yeah.
I kind of just said, hey, I'm just going to do the job, get it over with every day. And so I didn't go to church before the Army. Like I went when I was a kid, but when I grew up as an adult, I was like, no, let me go party. Let me go do this.
Right.
Because that's what I believe in. I don't like church. No, not my thing. Go to Bible study. No, not my thing. My mom would press on me all the time. She'd tell me, hey, you need to go to church. You're doing the wrong thing. You're doing this. I was like, you don't know what's going on with me. Like, you don't understand. But I knew, like, my mom kind of saw what she saw, her perception of me. And then I saw what I saw. And I was like, okay, cool. So when I got in the Army and I got deployed, that's when I started going to church. And I was like, well, this ain't about church. It's about my relationship with God. This is not about whether I pick a certain church or anything. It's is the message coming clear to me? Yeah. And am I understanding and interpret it the best way I can? Yeah. Am I open to learning? And that's when I learned from Bible study that I need to be open and learning, because there was so much stuff going on. You're getting shot at, you're getting bombed. You don't know what's really going on until like the very first time you like wake up from the reaction that already happened. And so you're just kind of like, okay. So I go to Bible study. I'm like, okay, well, what I'm asking for, God, from every day as I'm deployed is allow me to breathe the next day. Allow me to see the beauty of your world that you created. Allow me to just take another step so that way I may be able to go home every day. So every day was kind of that prayer. It was kind of like, hey, am I going to make it home? Probably, but I have to pray and say thanks for allowing me to breathe and to continue on while I continue to ask, hey, give me the next day, please. Yeah. Give me the next day. And so from that, you know, as we see today, here I am, right? But it's like whatever faith you grow into, and as you believe, whether you believe in Allah or God or any of those other faiths, like, what is it you're asking for? Like, and what are you interpreting from the scriptures in order to reach the understanding of what you're reading? So that journal is there. For me, it's a journal, right? Of a Bible, of everything that either Jesus went through or what God put out there, right? And every story is out there. And so I'm trying to learn from every story of what has happened, and then how can I make something out of myself here? And from that, I believe that, you know, I can do greatness in some capacity, and hopefully that I'm able to do the next day. That's it. That's all that I thank God, hey, as much as I can, and I'm not 100% doing exactly what my pastor tells me from my church is, hey, pray enough, pray every day, right? And pray as much as you can. Thank God for everything you're doing, but pray. Like he just wants you to pray. That's all, right? And so from that, I just say, like, every morning as I'm waking up and saying, hey, I don't want to go to work. My back hurts. Or like, it's too early for this craziness. The weakness is kicking in. Yeah. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, stop. And then I'm like, okay, give me the strength to just get in the shower and move first. And so I get in there and I do what I have to do. Then I thank God on the way on the way to the gym, as I'm going to the gym, because it's like my first thing. Just get my bag ready, go to the gym. Yeah. And as I am in the car driving and going down 35, I'm just like, hey, I just want to thank you for getting me up. Yeah. For allowing me to breathe and allowing me to go to the gym. And those are the three things I thank God for in the morning. After that, throughout the day, I'm probably like either not available for myself to give time to God, right? But then at the nighttime, or like when I wake up, I got to pay my respects and say, hey, thank you for those things. Like the things you give me every day, I thank you, right? For allowing me to be a father the next day, for allowing me to enjoy the time that I have with my kid every day, right? The times that I spend with my daughter to be able to text and just, joke around as much as we can, thank you for that. So like I give more thanks to God than I do ask as much as it goes. Cause I think like everything he's given me already is good enough. Like I'm happy to stay steady as much as possible. But like if he allows me to continue going forward, then I'll take that journey. I'll bring my sledgehammer with me and I'll knock down every wall I can. But with his help is why I'm breathing. So
no, it's very true. I used to have an old platoon sergeant who used to always say, "Hey, everyone always, hey, are you having a good day?" And people always ask that, greet you, "Hey, morning, sergeant, you having a good day?" And he would always respond with, "Hey, every day above ground is a good day." And that has stayed with me ever since. Like I literally still say that. And if you're listening out there, man, hey, thank you, because it still sticks with me since you used to say that to me, on a deployment. He used to always say that every day above ground's a good day, So don't even worry about it. Don't sweat it, because count your blessing, and that is a blessing right there. Now, okay, so now we're going to dial it back to the military side now, as a senior leader. Now, have you ever had to engage a soldier, or you ever had a soldier that kind of teeter-totter on that line where now their actions or their words or their statements compromise your belief, your faith? And do you ever include that in your judgment call when it comes to engaging that soldier? Has that ever happened to you? Or you ever had a soldier kind of question, okay, why do you believe this? Or I believe this, and this is why I'm not going to do this because my faith tells me this,
Right.
Just to dial it back into the leadership now.
So I think, let me see if I look back now and every couple of years back. I mean, I'm glad that I met other religions, other people who, diverge in other religions, because I think that helped me educate me.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I'd be like, why do you need to do that? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And I'm like, well, fuck, no, like, let me understand exactly where you're coming from, because I need you to go do this training.
Yeah.
But you're telling me you can't do this because it's against your religion. Well, educate me, please, on how exactly I utilize you to the best of your ability. Like, I'm not understanding where you're coming from, because in my religion, or how I see it, and as a leader, a military leader, this is what I need you to do. So if you cannot pick up the weapon with me and we're in combat, and you can't have my back, and you need to pause and break while we're getting shot at, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to die today.
Yeah.
Like, that does not work at all. So like in as far as combat go, like I as far as deployments, I don't have anyone that has brought that up. I think where it comes down to is, as we left the combats with like Iraq and Afghanistan, things died down. I think the peacetime area is where it's becoming more difficult. I think with the soldiers nowadays, it's just we have to have a clear understanding of what they're bringing into the table. And I think like for some of our soldiers, right, since we have but we have a Jewish population as well.
Yeah.
I need to be able to understand what those holidays mean and where my decisions come into play.
Oh, yeah.
For the commander, because the commander makes those decisions.
Yeah.
But I got to be able to be like, hey, sir or ma'am, like, we still have training. Like,
yeah, there's still a mission.
There's still a mission going on. I got to send this kid out. Like, I can't have this kid continuously say he can't work on Saturdays, or this kid can't work around technology. Like, we're an MI unit. We have to work around technology, right?
Yeah.
We have to be able to make sure that this soldier is able to pick up a weapon and shoot and be able to train with all the other soldiers. But then it's kind of like, oh, am I being a bad leader by taking away a Saturday, by taking away, by putting someone else in a training or a tasker or something of that sort, and then forgetting about the soldier and allowing the soldier to do their thing? Am I a bad leader? So those are some of the thoughts that come into play, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to understand why those thoughts are in there, but then you're trying to also maintain equal opportunity in the entire thing, because that's where we face is the equal opportunity thing. Like, am I being equal in this whole part, but am I also being equal to the unfortunate soldier who picks up the slack of the other one,
Yeah.
who has to take a break because of their religious services?
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like, okay, well, how do I, meticulously strategize this thing as best as possible? How do I take my time with this and actually think about what's good to go? And that's where, like, I have to be able to be like, okay, let me look at my resource, be able to reach out to my resource and say, what can I do with this? Because this is what I want to do. And I want to provide this to the commander. And that resource helps me out understand what are my left and right limits. From those left and right limits, I can be like, hey, dude, I get where you're coming from, but you're going to training these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're going to provide you the time to do your thing and provide you some time to prepare and be able for you to still be a soldier.
Yeah.
And put out what you need to put out. Like, I think it's rough because we don't clearly understand all the holidays, right?
Yeah,
that's not in our purview. Our purview is being military leaders. It's not to understand all the holidays, but be able to allow those that need to be able to do their thing in their holy days as much as possible. So, like, it's just having a clear understanding. I think, like, with like my soldiers who were linguists, right? Who came from a Muslim background, I had to be able to sit down with them and kind of like just chit chat, be able to understand what is it that's coming up for them and be able to give them the time that they needed. And if they went to training, I gotta be like, okay, this kid's probably not gonna eat during this time frame for Ramadan.
Yeah.
And I gotta be able to allow this kid to pray as much as he or she needs to. So what do I have to do in order to make this thing work?
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes like every situation is really dependent, right? Because you don't know exactly how you can make it work, but you can sit down with all the other leaders and be like, hey, this is what I got right now. And I want to make this work, but I need your help on this. Like, how do we provide this time for this soldier?
Yeah, that's I would definitely say that is a tough one that, the Army doesn't really, they need to start incorporate that in like maybe ALC or something, one of the leadership schools, because it is a reality, it is a reality. And and luckily for us, we deal with it more on a more stabilized manner, because it can be very unstabilized if, let's say, you are going forward and you're in conflict with a nation that is of the same belief of that soldier, so therefore now they see it as like they're fighting against their own, and killing their own, on the behest of our army in our country, So then all of a sudden you can get some compromising beliefs or some compromising actions where now it's like, whoa, dude, you do know what team you're on. You know what I'm saying? So that is always what has always worried me. Luckily, I haven't had to experience it, and knock on wood, hopefully, I don't ever have to. But it is a reality that it's a possibility, and I'm not to say there's probably some military leaders out there who had to deal with that, And I'm just curious, how would you even approach that?
I think like, let me see, just thinking about it, being able to kind of see what's there. I mean, the soldiers and how they get their time is kind of hard. And it goes back to basic. Like, basic provides the resources in the beginning, right? As they go into basic,
yes, it does.
They have to do it, right? So that's the opener. That's the gate that's a gate that's open right there at basic. So like, if I allow these soldiers to go, now in a unit as a leader, I have to be able to understand that and be able to provide that to the soldiers as well. But knowing that they're going to be in conflict for like the same things that another country is going through, those are things that I have to think about and be like, man, what is this person dealing with right now in their head? And be able to interpret in my head, like, hey, is he or she experiencing something that's going to affect them to be combat effective?
Yeah.
And if they're not combat effective, then I need to remove the soldier and be able to get the soldier rehabilitated and put someone else in that play. That's where that decision comes into play. And so unfortunately, like sometimes these soldiers are good. Sometimes these soldiers, want to do the right thing.
They know what they signed up for.
Yeah. But unfortunately, some deal with the stresses behind, like, because of family, and there might still be family on that side, or they're also dealing with their emotions. And so I have to look at it and be like, okay, is this soldier really ready to be here? Yeah. Do I need to remove this soldier right now before something gets more drastic? And that's where that choice, as a leader, you got to be able to be like, okay, I need to make this decision now. I can't wait for it to get more drastic than it needs to. So you make that decision, you pull that soldier, and guess what? You put somebody else in the play. Then you send that soldier off to the resources that are provided to them. Because, I mean, at that point, you can't control that.
Yeah.
Like, those emotions are in there. They're stuck in there. You can't change it. Like, that now is a thing for the resource to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with something going drastic. Because let's say you leave the soldier there. Let's say it gets dramatic, even worse. So then what says that this soldier is not going to turn? Because at any point in time, unfortunately, the soldier can turn. Anything can change a person's mind quick.
Yeah.
And if something's messing with their emotions and they're not in control of those emotions, then guess what? Chaos takes place.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, things happen from there.
Yeah.
And so, like, you got to be able to understand that this soldier might be dealing with these emotions. Do I need to take the soldier out? And if I do, then let me take him out now.
Yeah.
Let me take him or her out now before it gets worse. Because anything can always get worse if you don't make a decision. And it doesn't have to be great. It's also not bad. It's just you just deciding from your own interpretations of what is in front of you and just go with it. Don't back up from it. Don't change. Just pull. That's it. Pull or push.
Jeez. Yeah, man. Hopefully you wouldn't have to engage that in the rest of your time in the career, But it is a reality that we definitely have to prep for, especially as leaders, and I know too, times are not getting any easier, they're getting more chaotic, and I keep telling the team here, I'm always like, dude, 2024, hey, this is going to be a rough year. Just be ready. It's not going to be an impossible year, but it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So just be ready, Now, I'll ask you this. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you probably have encountered this, but have you ever encountered a soldier, or a service member who won't do something or blame a result, let's say a promotion board or something, because it was God's will or God didn't tell them. They bring God into it and they say, oh, I didn't qualify with my weapon because God doesn't want me to qualify with my weapon, or something of that sort. Have you ever encountered that,
I think in the board for sure, I've encountered that. And unfortunately, this going back, like, this poor soldier has gone to the board 3 or 4 times.
I know what you're talking about.
So unfortunately, there are some things like when you say God, we're trying to understand what do you mean by that, right? Because
Yeah.
most of the first sergeants in the sergeant major are trying to figure out like where you're coming from.
They're giving respect. They're doing their
yeah.
respect. You know, it's a respectful approach.
And so,
Oh, let's go, Hector. Thank you for that, dude.
you the man.
I appreciate that, Hector. And I see you, Rags. Thanks for tuning in as well.
So I think as a first sergeant, I need to be able to understand who's in front of me and what they're trying to interview for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also respecting the fact of their religion.
Yeah.
When you tell me God hasn't decided that, I have to be able to be like, can you pull the trigger on something if we're out there
Yeah.
and we're getting shot at?
If we're in sector.
Are you waiting for God to tell you when to shoot? Or are you gonna shoot? Like that's the problem there. And so like when you start saying that and continuously saying that, then what we're getting at is you're saying that you're waiting for a higher being to tell you to pull a trigger.
Yeah.
When I need you to be able to operate as I need you to operate if something goes down.
Yeah.
Like if something goes down and we're getting fired at, I would expect you to fire back and not wait.
Yeah.
Because if you're hesitant, like I am the only one shooting back and you're with me and we're the only two, I need you.
Yeah.
God is expecting you to have my back as well. So I'm going to tell you the same thing. I'm going to be like, hey, let's go, bud. Get down there because I don't have enough ammo to go after these people who are shooting at us, right? But I need you to be there for me. So when are you going to wake up? And I'm expecting for you to wake up eventually. But if I'm the only one, I have to be able to take a pause, bring you down and be like, hey, F you motherfucker. Like, you need to wake the fuck up or go back to the rear.
Yeah.
Like, I am not going to play this. Like, if we go down together. Like, we're a team effort, man. We got to be able to have each other's back.
Yeah, we got to rely on each other.
So when these soldiers come to the board and they start speaking that way, God, blah, 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 like, hey, good on you. I respect you for that. But I need you to be able to be a leader and be able to make those choices. And God is expecting you to be a leader as well, because you have to be able to lead the household that you have. He expects you to take what is written for you to be able to interpret it to the family. And you're a leader of a family and you have a family. Lead that family. That means you're being a leader.
Yeah.
So I need you to also be a leader in the military and lead the family that's in the military. That squad that you got there or that team is expecting you to have their back.
Yeah.
I need you to have their back. And if you're not able to interpret that the right way, then I'm sorry. You get a no-go on that vote. And that's it. Like, I can't help you until you realize that.
Yeah.
And if you're waiting for God, by all means, go ahead and wait. But right now, at this moment in time, I don't see that. And so you get a no-go.
Yeah. Jeez. No, that's a good way to approach that, because it is one of those things where it's like, it goes back to like, you got to know what you signed up for. It essentially, no matter what your belief is, no matter what higher power you believe in, no matter what your faith is, you have to know what you signed up for, and what the potential it can lead to, what the actions or expectations are bestowed upon you, as a soldier, and like it or not, and I feel like there's just a lack of the understanding now with this newer generation, but the Army's in the business of war.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what keeps us going. We're in the business of war. We're either preparing, we're in it, or we're recovering for it, and then we're re-preparing again, So it's like we're constantly training. You're constantly perfecting. Like that is what keeps it. We're in the business of war.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we do, because when that time comes and when the balloon goes up, dude, you got to go. We all got to go,
Mm-hmm.
So that it goes back to like, you really got to know what you signed up for. And I know for me, how, in that situation, it is that same thing. Like, you got to understand what you signed up for, man. And it's okay to admit that maybe this is just not for you. If you are, you're going back and relying on your faith and your belief, you know, and you're saying that it wasn't God's will for you to pass this promotion board, it wasn't God's will for you to do this or do that, then dude, you know what? Maybe this is not the job for you. And it's okay. It's okay to admit that, you know. You did your time, you got the experience, you got the schools, you got the mentorship, you got the skills now, you know, but maybe, okay, if your belief or your faith is so important to you, maybe that's something you should probably pursue more of. And this is just not the line of work for you, you know.
I think in that general aspect, you got to also look at the scriptures. Like, I know we talked faith earlier, but you got to look at the scriptures for leadership as well. Like, I mean, to be like King David or like any of the old, if you looking at like old Jerusalem and how like all the other facets of like the Benjaminites and all that other stuff, right? You got to think they had some type of leadership role. They were able to do those things. When you read back through the scriptures of the Old Testament, like they did things that they thought, you know, that's what they believed that God wanted them to do. And so they did those things because that was their belief in that moment of time. Like even looking at like now, like the movies, right? Like 300, right?
Oh yeah.
Looking at 300, hey, 300,
that movie.
300 people, right? 300 soldiers are going out to face a massive force, right?
Yeah.
Of military who was combined from like different countries entirely to show that 300 are willing to take on many, right? And from that impact, they were able to show that major force was like, hey, like, I don't care how much you have or what you're willing to bring. I am not backing down, and I am going to attack no matter what. And guess what? Hence the second part where they're like, hey, all right, they build up from that. Their story went and reached the whole Greek, the whole Greek area. And then guess what? They all got together and faced that same opposing force and destroyed that opposing force as much as possible. I mean, like, think about the Roman Empire. Think about like history. Like history itself, like depicts like how much a small force can do so much damage if they believe in themselves. And this is where I'm going with that. Is just if you believe and you're able to do that thing, then you will provide the end of completion to that mission, and you'll be able to do what you need to do rather than to wait for an answer. If you continuously wait for an answer, you're not going to get an answer. Yeah. Because they're expecting you to make that answer. I can't expect you as a leader to wait for me to tell you what to do. You got to be willing to do what needs to be done at that time and just accomplish it however you're going to accomplish it. I don't expect you to do it the way I do it. What I expect you to do is just complete the mission. Mm-hmm. If you complete that mission and it's done, then it's good to go. No errors, no faults, no nothing. Then completed. All right, cool. That's a check mark off my checklist. But if you wait for an answer, for the entire time, you're not getting anything done. Yeah. You're not going anywhere. You're not moving. The train's stuck in the same train stop. You need to be able to move. You got to be able to just walk. You can't just wait the entire time. And I get it. Patience is key. Yeah. But your patience has to be able to be willing to move at the same time. You gotta be able to look at it differently than rather just be like, okay, patience tells me to stay. No, patience tells me to walk instead of run into an objective. If I run into an objective and I don't think logically of what I'm running into, then I'm just gonna I'm either gonna get destroyed or I'm gonna destroy something. Yeah. But for me to be able to just destroy something, I gotta be able to objectively look at it and say, hey, if I walk into it and I take my time, and like smooth, slow, smooth. So I got to be able to use that same thing and be able to go around into a house and be able to clear it. I got to be able to go into the objective and clear it the right way.
Yeah.
Because then, if not, I am not only putting myself at risk, I'm putting my whole team at risk.
Yeah.
And if I put my whole team at risk, then I know for a fact we're not going to make it. And those decisions are where it's coming into play. Like for us leaders, like we got to be able to look at the situation as best as possible and be able to identify what the problem is and be able to say, okay, here are courses of action I could start with. And this is what I can do. I know what the goal is, but here are the courses of actions in order to take place in order to get to that goal.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is how I get it. And so if I can't get this course of action to play, let me go to the next course of action. But if none of those course of actions play and I just rush into something,
Yep.
then that's it. Game over. You can't respawn on this one. This is not Call of Duty. This is not a game.
There's no respawn.
There's no respawn.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do this the right way. And you have to think about it. Life is life. If I get shot in the heart, I'm done. My kids won't see a father. I won't be able to drive them forward, right? My kids only knew me until their age of 5. Like, that makes no sense. I got to be able to provide until they get old enough to be able to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And in America, it's 18 to 21, right? That's what we're looking at and based off. But a parent's a parent until they're no longer a parent.
Yeah, essentially.
A leader's a leader until they're no longer a leader. And you got to be able to do your thing until you're done. And that is a thing that you got to be willing to take on. Like once you become a parent, once you have a kid, you're a parent.
Yeah.
You have no single life. You can't be, messing up things for yourself.
Your focus changes now.
Yeah.
You
got to be
yourself
yeah.
to your child.
So you got to be able to provide in that time. The same thing as for a leader. You get put in that position to be able to make decisions. Just make the decision. That's all the soldiers want. It's for you to make a decision. And if you make a wrong decision, it's okay. You got to be willing to learn from it.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. But you got to be willing to learn from it and say, hey, how can I do this better? Because you can't take a decision where you lose a life and take it back. You can't. There's no way of taking that back. You can't just say, hey, let me restart this up. No, there's no way. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You can't do that. But you can prevent something from happening again, from repeating itself with another.
Yeah.
And so you got to be able to understand where your faults are at and be able to take that and apply it to what you have now and be able to say, hey, here's what I'm going to look at and prepare as best as possible, because I'm not going to have the 100% answer. Can I stop a person from doing what they're about to do? Can I stop a mission from pretty much like they're out and they lost communication and they have to do what they have to do on that end, and I lose that entire team? I can't take that back. I can't restart that. But I got to be able to apply the lesson learned behind it. Mm-hmm. Same thing for training. I got to be able to look at how we're training and how to make that better.
Yeah.
And so from that, I learned my lesson in order to be better for the next following personnel.
Yeah.
Because if I cannot do that, I'm no good as a leader. I'm no good as a father figure. I'm no good as a coach. I got to be able to provide that to that team, to that family. And if I can't do that, then I need to look internally and say, how do I change that? Mm-hmm. What am I doing wrong? Because if I can't own up to their failures, then shit, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I got to be able to identify that in me and be like, okay, well, then maybe it's me. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
In order to make an accomplishment happen for this particular thing.
Yep.
And if I can't do that, if I can't identify that, then I have a problem with myself and I need to go get that checked out, because I haven't accepted the fact that I'm able to be a follower as much as a leader. Like I got to be able to follow in order to lead. And in order for me to lead, I got to be a leader. So I got to understand how to follow at first in order to lead. And so, I'm pretty sure that probably doesn't make sense right now, but I got to be able to.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, at least to me, it does. You know, I've always been brought up with the concept of as a leader, you know, and you said it earlier, but those who you're leading, their failures are your failures. Their achievements are your achievements, you know, and that is something that I feel, you know, it's slowly kind of like there's only a few leaders now that I've worked with who kind of grasp that. And, you know, and I'm pretty sure you've probably worked with some too, you know, and you've had those supervisors or those people that you've worked for, you know, where you can tell their focus was more individualized. You know, it was more on their gaining, their personal gain, building those bullets, building that, you know, as opposed to understanding where, hey, no, your failures are my failures. You know, your successes, your achievements, those are my achievements as well. So let's fix this. You know, if you're messing up, you're failing on things, okay, let's fix it. You know, let's figure out what we can do. Is it me? Is it you? What can we do? Is it both of us combined? Okay, well, let's come up with a plan and let's fix this. Let's get you to succeed, because when you succeed, I succeed. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been brought up with that, you know, and I still carry it with me to this day, you know, and that's literally the focus. So yeah, definitely, from what you said earlier, that it makes a lot of sense, because that is the same thing. You know, if they're failing, then what is it that you're doing? You know, what is it that you're not doing, you know, to at least contribute to that? Like, you know, is there something that you did or decisions that you made that kind of contributed to that failure, you know? And or not. Maybe a lot of it too is individual ownership. Sometimes they got to take ownership. You know, hey, you were told this, you know, why didn't you prepare? It was on you. You know, I can't hold your hand everywhere, you know. So,
well, that goes back to like, because off the Jocko book we have here, right?
Let's go.
So we're gonna temp into his world a little bit, right?
Let's do it.
So Jocko says, right, you can only control what you can control, right?
That's true.
You got to be able to control that, and that's the same thing in life. It's like you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
What is it you control?
And that's a hard thing to grasp
It is.
For everybody, not just military people, just everybody, society as a whole. It's hard for us to grasp that nowadays. I feel like is because everybody wants to control everything. They want to have a piece in everything. You know, I myself, that's one of my flaws. There's situations where it's like, okay, let me control that, or I wish I had control of that, because then I can change the outcome, or I can do this. When in reality, it's accepting the fact that, hey, you can only control what you can control.
It's that like that spear of influence, right? That we talk about in our jobs, right? That spear of influence. If you're able to influence those outside of your spear, then you have a little bit of control, but you don't have full 100% control. But you got to be able to know what are your left and right limits on that control. And so, like, you know that in the job, you talk to people every day. You get the information you're going to get.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the entirety of what you're trying to reach out to. But you got to be able to influence that in your best ability, as you would influence a soldier to continue their career path for 20 years. But you can't unless you show them what it is, the goods and the bads from it. You can't just continue and paint something and say it's 100% perfect when it really is. It isn't. There are some tough times. There are some rough patches. You got to be able to understand that those rough patches are the things you're going to have to deal with eventually. And they're going to happen. And what you may go through may not be the same thing that I go through, right? But you got to be able to say, hey, here is my experience and what I went through and what I've seen. And sharing that will help someone identify, hey, here's what I can control so far, right? And so as you move up, like in leadership, right, your influence plays a big impact on what you can control.
Yeah.
And so if you have a strong influence with your, I guess, your higher superiors and your lower people, right, you can influence a big aspect, but how much influence do you really have? Like, how much control do you really have of that? You really don't have like 100% control, but you got to understand how to meticulously paint that, like in the art of understanding what you have control of. And that art really plays a big part. Like, it's like understanding a portrait or some type of like poetry, like you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to interpret what is it that is in front of you, right? So if you're able to interpret your influence that you have on others, then you're able to understand where your control is at. And from that, you'll be able to make changes or some improvements into what you're trying to control. Now, you're not always going to have 100% influence into something, but you know that if you throw a little bit of sprinkle on something,
Yeah.
you're able to change the taste of like food or something. If you throw them like, hey, this spice might work if I do it this way. Let's see what it does. You got to have that mentality to be like, hey, let me try this out and be able to see what it does, right? So if you throw a little bit of sprinkle on something, fuck it. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, let's see
like,
what turns out.
That's the adventure about it. You got to be able to have fun and adventure with what you do. So like, I think that's the one thing when it comes to faith and when it comes to leadership and when it comes to like challenges. I think if you're not able to take a challenge, if you're not able to take the adventure, you're holding yourself back. And if you're able to not hold yourself back, then there's so much more in front of you that you have no hope. Like, you have to have the willing to be like, fuck this. Let's see where it goes. Let's just see how far this adventure goes. And if it's for the good, then fuck it. Let it happen. Enjoy the shit.
That's true.
Because you never know how much of a good thing you're going to have left. And so you want to be able to like endure the best you can from it. And like, if you're excelling in a career and you're doing everything you need to do, and all of a sudden they offer you a brand new opportunity, why not take it? Why keep yourself as a low, like in the low level still, the job entry that you came into? Yeah. Why not go excel for something and make more from it and see how far you go? Yeah. Why not take that degree further? Why not go for a master's degree or a doctorate? What's stopping you from it? Because you're the only person stopping yourself from it. Mm-hmm. So why not go on that adventure and see where it goes? Why not jump off of a plane and parachute out? Why not go for a long swim? Why not hit a marathon? Like, those are the things that you think about, right? Now, those things, if you keep yourself from it, like like why? Why would you let that happen? Just go for it and see where it goes. See how far it goes. Why not say, hey, this person makes my life happy, right? This person provides for me. This person gives me everything that I want. Yeah. Why not push it a little bit further? Why not see where it goes? Like, those are the adventures that you want. You want happiness from everything. So why are you keeping yourself from it? Why are you stopping yourself from it? And as a leader, right, we try to hold back as much as we can, right, in the military, because we think, having our toolbox and having all these tools, we're just going to keep it to ourselves and we're going to be like super experts of everything. But we can't.
No, you can't.
Because you only have, for me, I only have 20 years. That's how I look at it, right? And then there's an expiration date behind it. Yeah. So why not give the tools I have to someone else and see if that person excels and that person proves that they're the best at their job? Why not see a soldier who becomes from nothing to something to be able best warrior to best squad to SF to like whatever other thing and dream you have?
Yeah.
Why not allow them to dream big? Like, dreaming has been a thing that I guess our society entirely has eliminated. Why not
That's
dream
true.
for the big things? Why not be fucking the best basketball player, the best football player, the best baseball player? Why not? Why can't you be? Why are you holding yourself back?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you just going after money? Like, show that you like are the best. Prove that you are the best. Like, who cares? Go for the adventure. Enjoy it. Be happy.
Yeah.
Because if you're not happy, then you're going to hate what's in front of you. You're not going to like it at all. And if you don't like it at all, you're going to complain. You're going to go back to those sad, depressional moments.
Yep.
You don't want that. You want happiness. So, I mean, in general, enjoy the shit you have.
Yeah, and all you're losing is time.
That's it.
And
Time.
you're not going to get that back.
Oh, you're definitely not getting back time.
You're
There's
not
no
getting
way of
back
going
time.
back. Look, man, at the age of 38, and you know this, like, we either peak or we don't.
Yeah.
And if
You
we
know.
can't peak, hey, there are other opportunities out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So chase for the fucking goal line and keep going. That's all I say.
Yeah. No, no. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Napoleon. But there was a wise saying that he had, or he instituted, which I think it was him. But it basically said, no great leader keeps knowledge to himself. Like, that's just basically what it narrowed down to. No great leader keeps knowledge to himself. You know, if you have that knowledge, you have that skill set, you pass it down. You know, you pass it down. Do not retain it. Don't keep it to yourself, because it doesn't do any good to the force. It doesn't do any good, you know? So that kind of ties into what you were saying. But, yeah. And then also to what you're saying, as far as like, first of all, that was very motivating. I'm pretty sure some of you guys, if you're not motivated by that, seriously, that was very motivating, you know? I'm pretty sure you guys can agree. Come up in the chat if you guys agree, you know, especially you. I see you guys there in the YouTube. Jeremiah Treadway, I see you there. You know, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in as well, guys. But I would definitely say, you know, it's funny that you say that, because I'll tell you straight up, you know, and this is me just being real, but there are certain individuals who question my actions in pursuing this level of leadership that I'm about to pursue and embark in, you know, and they see it from a different side. You know, they see it more from, hey, you could just be doing this. You could be doing this. You can go over here. You can stay in this. Why take that stress? Why deal with that? Like, you're crazy. You know, what are you doing? You know, and I also, you know, there are times where I'm like, man, you know what? They might be right, dude. You know, yeah, I'm human. You know, there's times where I'm just like, you're making good points, you know, but also it ties into, like you said, though, it's like you're trying to make yourself better. You're trying to get out of that, what I would say, the mundane, you know, and now you're expanding, you know, and hey, I mean, hey, you may succeed and you may mess up, but hey, you're never going to know until you put yourself in that situation, you know, and give yourself that opportunity to expand and grow, you know, and that's how I see it, you know. And so I've always kind of pursued that realm, you know. When I first came into the Army, I'll tell you straight up, when I first came in the Army, I always looked up to the drill sergeants. You know, I was like, dude, I want to be a drill sergeant. Like, those dudes are freaking solid. Like, that's who you want to be. You know, to me, I'm like, I saw them as experts of their craft. You know, I went to OSIT, so at Fort Benning. So at the time, it was like, dude, these dudes they know their shit. You know, they're scouts from day zero to, they take us all the way through. You know, there's no AIT. It was all combined. It was OSIT. So we had all that time, and I'm like, dude, this is where I want to be. And then you meet the senior drill, and you're like, oh, dude, that senior drill just like, that's where I want to be. Like, y'all feel good, you know. And then you meet the first sergeant, and you're just like, okay, if I can make it to first sergeant, I'll be happy, you know, because you're just like, okay, that's where I want to be, you know. And so I've always pursued that avenue. You know, to me, it's like, hey, you make it the first sergeant. In my eyes, my career is done now. I can easily retire knowing that I did that, you know, or I'll be satisfied with my career because I hit the markers I wanted to hit in the Army, you know, because that's not an easy job. And it's not a job anybody just gets, you know, you get selected for it. You know, it's not something you just go in and be like, yeah, I'm going to be a first sergeant. That's what I'm here for. No, you're going to get selected, man. You know, you got to demonstrate some stuff. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the energy. You got to put in the effort. There's so much that you got to apply yourself towards to them to make that decision. So, you know, and there's some though, you know, who influence are like, why do you want that? Like, why are you going to put yourself through that? You know, the long days, the early mornings, you know, are you ready for that? You know, you can always do this. You can come back. You can do this. We can put you on this, you know, and it's just like, sounds good, but this is the route I'm chosen, you know? So it is a reality I live with. It kind of ties into what you were saying, you know?
Yeah.
Jeez. But, man, interesting. So I'm going to ask this now. So we'll end this topic with this. So how important is faith to you in your job?
That's a good question. I think for me, in general, I think faith is very important. Because if I didn't believe in something, then what do I have to prove? What do I have to give? And what I mean by that is kind of like, I think that having some type of faith, regardless of religion, right? Just in general, just having some type of faith in something means that I believe in something. And so if I believe in something, that it helps me provide me a purpose. Like I said earlier, the purpose is behind everything. So for me to accomplish my job in every day, that I don't have like a to-do list. Like I don't have like, I go to work. For me to do my job, I go to work, I do what I have to do, show my presence, and then it's kind of like, okay, here are the obstacles that are in play today. Not tomorrow, but today. And from that, I say, okay, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, well, hey, man, and this is my conversation upstairs, right, with God, right? And I say, hey, I know you can't give me the answers to the test.
Yeah.
But provide me the strength to be able to do my best in what I'm doing.
Okay.
And from that, I just go. I just full force, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing in my job is SOP or like, well, for SOP, there's nothing that is said that I have to do it this way. It's what's best for the way I see and interpret it. So I'm going to look at it and say, okay, hey, you know, today's going to be a rough day. I know what's going on. I might need your help to make sure that I don't either anger out or like not forget or like think something outside of the wall, like way off the wall.
Yeah.
And say like, I need to say what I need to say and get it out. Cause at times in that moments, like for my safety briefs, like for me, like I go off the wall because I start thinking, hey, I'm in a different unit. They probably don't know about this. This is what I need to make sure it gets put out. So I start doing that and I'll go up and down basically like, hey, here's some high risk stuff. Here's some low risk stuff. Oh, I forgot about this. So let me go right back up to it. Right. So I'm just trying to make sure that I cover down on certain things so people understand where my mindset is. And so believing that I know that God can help me through in making the best choice or guiding me to make the best choice in general, then I know that I'm going to make that choice and be able to operate in the way that I need to for the time being. Because every day is going to be different as I see it in my position. I think there's different dynamics that happen every day. There's going to be problems. There's going to be good times, right? There's going to be meetings that are going to be elongating or just short. So I got to be able to take all that in the best appropriate way that I don't be like, hey, this is a shit meeting. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
My workout sucks. It's raining outside. I just want to go home. It's too hot outside. I'd rather stay in the AC. So those are the thoughts that are going in my head that I'm asking for the big God upstairs to be
Yeah.
like, hey, pull me together, bring me back down and say, hey, you're thinking too much about the complaints. I need you to think about how you're going to accomplish what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't for that, like there is something that helps me accomplish what I need to accomplish. And at least in my position, I make sure that I try to do my best as much as possible. And like, I may not do the best of my ability, like the best choice that other people think that I don't provide.
Yeah.
But I know in me, and after looking at all the options that I had in front of me that I tried to strategize from my problem set, that this is the best choice in going with this. So I'm going to go through with it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't, then what am I doing? Like,
No, that's very true.
I gotta stop contemplating. I can't contemplate. I gotta be able to provide a decision. And that's me battling myself in my mind entirely. And so like, because I battle myself entirely, I gotta be able to praise upstairs and say, hey, help me calm myself down, because in my head, I am basically boxing myself into a corner
Yeah.
the entire time, and then boxing my opposing force, which is still me, in the other side. And I have to just make a decision and just say, hey, this round is won by this opposing force, and this is why. And so I ask for that in that end to be able to understand. I'm not going to win every war. I'm not going to win every battle.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to fight every battle to win the war.
Yeah, exactly.
So in my head, I have my own battle that I'm fighting in order to make the best decision. And if it wasn't for me trying to believe into something, like every day I'm going to be like, oh, well, this thing was messed up because the big God didn't give me like what I needed, right? But then in my head, I'm like, no. You need to stop. Wait, you're making an excuse. Excuses are not for this today. Excuses are for yesterday. I got to be able to provide for something today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what do you got for me today is what I asked for today. And if I didn't believe in that, then he wouldn't guide me in the best way that he could guide me in order to make that decision. Same thing for mentors. Like, we want people to be able to like guide us and mentor us in the best way possible, right? We're not going to know all the answers. So we're going to rely on the people we think are mentors to us to give us some type of guidance to be able to make a decision on something. And like today, for me, like I went up here and I said, hey, here's a problem set. What do you think is my best opportunity? They gave me what they needed to, and I said, okay, I see where you're coming from. And then I sat back and said, okay, that is the best choice from it. I think I need to. And that was only provided to me because what was allowed from upstairs to be like, hey, God, you gave me something, but I didn't have to ask you for it. You knew off the bat that I needed that guidance and that answer. So you made sure that I went out and asked for it first in order to get to that. Because to me, like, he may not come in your dream. He may not come, to you right away, but he will come in other ways. He will be able to provide you the answers that you need to in different types of ways in order for you to believe in yourself to be able to make that decision. Yeah. And so I think that's where faith comes into play for me in general. So
nice. That's a solid answer. And very legit. Very profound.
Very profound.
Very profound.
Could be the tea.
Awesome, man. Well, no, that's pretty awesome. And I appreciate you coming out here and discussing that. It's not an easy topic, I feel like nowadays, you don't really get a lot of it's like certain leaders just kind of, just like, oh yeah, there's that thing. Like it's like they're afraid to engage it, when, the term faith or religious or belief, even though it's a thing, but it's like, they're always just like, oh yeah, okay, well, what do you need? But there is that application of understanding, and I think soldiers respect that more, especially when it's like, hey, help me understand, let me understand where you're coming from. Let me understand what this is, let me understand what you believe. I just that way I can make better decisions to support this, and I respect it, but I just want to understand it, so that can go a long way. Okay. Okay. So we'll wrap up with one final topic, and I'm just gonna ask you this. Okay. Yeah, guys, we're changing it up. All right, team. Okay. Thank you guys so far. Thank you all for being present, for your patience. Okay, so this one right here, this is a big hot topic right now, but I'm curious to know your thoughts, and we don't even get into the weeds, but social media. Okay, those two strong words, social media. Social media obviously has an impact, when it comes to the military, when it comes to perception of the military, and it comes to basically anything kind of applying to the military. Obviously, you see people even internally in the military, obviously I use social media for my podcast, and advertisement and stuff like that, and marketing. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts, as a senior leader, in the military? What are your thoughts of social media and the military?
Ooh.
You can use experience, you can use, opinion, thoughts. This is all your opinion. So just by all means.
No, I think social media is good to have, to rely, at least for the military, for humor purposes. I think it's awesome. I don't think there's not one video I probably haven't seen all the videos, but I think when it comes down to humor, they're great because it gives us a realistic view. Well, not a realistic view, but it gives us some type of sense of happiness in that.
Yeah.
To see some of the things that other people go through it.
Yeah.
And just hey, let me tell you my story, but make a little bit, of a big drastic change on it in order to paint a picture, right? But I think the humor part of it is great. I think social media is used against us as well in that aspect, because we're not everything that people portray out there. We're not so much of destroying things, but that's what's brought up in every military force. It's kind of like we're supposed to be the deadliest force for our countries, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are things that people forget in social media, like training events where you get to run through some type of training event with a different country, and you enjoy that camaraderie with that other country at the same time.
Yes.
The pictures show a lot, what soldiers go through in that time event. Their expressions on their face through that training or through that event, shows a lot of hey, I'm going through the suck, but I'm going through the suck not only by myself, but I'm going through it with someone else. And I think those things are great to be utilized in pictures, because you see that not only that there is something coming out of someone, but the force is doing something out there, and be able to come out to the community, to serve a community, not only to go to work every day and be able to do the military stuff, but be able to show that we also care about what else is around us.
Oh yeah.
And to share it with little children, with other individuals, with even animals. We're not just pulling the trigger and that's it, but we're showing that we're able to be human.
There's a lot more. Exactly. There's a lot more, and the perception is definitely broadcasted to be of a very it's whatever the narrative is.
Narrative, yes.
It's very narrative driven, you know,
Yes.
and I can definitely say there's some that I see that, yes, are very humorous based, and it is true, you know. I mean, we all see those, you know. We see the basic training photos of, or videos and memes of the drill sergeant memes, you know, picking up rocks and building a portrait on the sidewalk, you know, out of the rocks. You know, there's something that there's a learning point behind that, but there's also something humorous because we all went through it, you know, so we can all relate, and it is very funny.
I think where it doesn't become humorous is the unfortunate events that happen, right?
Yes.
So then we're painting a picture that
Is
the
the
Army
one thing.
is not like paying attention to certain things. And unfortunately, it just happens, you know. We can't control, like I said before, we can't control everything. So when those things come into light, we start to be like, okay, what did we do wrong? I think that's where social media kind of like helps identify some gaps that we need to be able to be better at.
Yeah.
So I think like with like things where like things went really bad and then social media takes into play, and then that, I think there's a lesson learned from it. And it's not a bad thing. It's just an unfortunate event that happened that we know that we didn't want it to happen, but because we're so stuck into training, we're not looking at those things. And now we are taking a step down and kind of pausing and be able to see what's around us. And I think that's going to go on forever. I don't think like we're going to have answers right away.
Oh no.
So I think like it's just going to take time, and I don't know how much time it's going to take.
Yeah, you know, I think we're one thing though. I think where social media has a negative play is when and this is solely my opinion, but when it turns into a venting tool for soldiers, you know, and it turns into a venting tool where that is their first line. You know, where social media now turns into their first line, you know, and it's like, man, there's no need to, I mean, to me, my initial response is as a first line, you know, you think, okay, why just come up on the net, man? Like, this is something we can handle, you know. Why are you keeping this yourself, and you're using your social media to broadcast that or put all your dirty laundry out there, you know? And it's a sense more like, you know, now it is a form. So social media though too is a form of identity, you know, it's turned into that, you know, and to me personally, you know, I've always, you know, you always engage with these certain leaders and commanders, you know, who are like, hey, don't send me requests until I leave, you know, or whatever. They won't add you until they leave. When in reality, I think it should be the opposite. Because if you really want to get to know your soldier or know about them, if they're allowing you that route, you know, you're not going out there and seeking them out. No, they're allowing you. They're sending you that request. You know, they're opening up their door to allow you into see what their lifestyle is like, you know, what they're about. And I've always seen that as like, okay, that you're allowing me in now to see just what you're about. What are you broadcasting? You know, what is your, you know, you can learn so much. You learn that, oh, you had a family. I didn't even know you had a family this whole time. You know, you've been keeping this hush. But now you have a family. I learned that, you know, I just want to touch base on that now. Now I can make different decisions now based off that. Or they're going through something, you know, now it's a new outlet for them. So now they'll keep it to themselves at work, but now they're putting it out there on their page or something. Well, then now it's like, okay, hey, I just want to touch base with you over something that you previously posted. Is everything okay? You know? There's resources available. And next thing you know, they're like, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, there is. Let's get that taken care of. You know, so that's kind of where I stand with that, because it's turned into that. It's not like what it used to be. Now it is an open door to like, hey, and like I said, if the soldier is opening that door, allowing you in, it's because they trust you.
Yep.
And they're just allowing you to, okay, hey, this is my life, and we're a soldier 24/7, and now you're a part of it, So that has always been my look on that, So I've always been the one that's like, well, if I'm adding you or I'm requesting you, it's because, hey, I'm opening you up. I'm opening you up to what I'm about, what you don't see when I have the uniform on, So I've always seen it as a good approach that leaders, I think, should have, because unfortunately times have changed, and I think it is something that it's a tool that can be utilized. Now, obviously, there are the narrative realms, where are individuals who have no idea how the military functions. They just literally want to troll. They want to chase their likes. They want to chase all of that, and they just want to troll, and they have no idea. And they'll take one little incident or one little article, and they'll be like, well, this is our military. This is what they're doing. And it's like, no, dude, it's nothing like that. And if you want to ask, hit me up, I will easily have a conversation with you. So, yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on that, and now I'll ask you as a senior leader, as a first sergeant, what do you do whenever one of your soldiers sends you a friend request?
I press yes. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay.
I'm open to like people seeing like that I am not like,
obviously that's your life.
Yeah, that's my life. I'm in, like, I don't want
something they can probably
like,
learn from and be mentored,
And I don't want people to be like, hey, I'm a strict, or like I come off you like.
So then we're a lot of the same fields.
Yeah. So like, hey, press accept, send that friend request. I'm happy for you to see what I have on mine, because I'm a person, I'm a human. I make errors. Like, get to know me so that way you see where I'm coming from, or what I have in my background and what I dealt with. Like, do it, just enjoy it. Like, by all means, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. I don't really care so much about that rule. Like, as far as like, no, I'm not gonna wait. No, I'm definitely not gonna wait. You send me that request, I will press accept.
Yeah.
And most people will probably tell you, like, if you are on my friends list, you're gonna see whatever comes out of my stories, whatever it's gonna be posted. Like, enjoy that. That's just me being me.
It is.
And that's it.
It is. And, it's just one of those things. Now, to me, I'll tell you from the opposite side, it's those individuals who are like, oh, because I've had them both, and there's those leaders are like, no, man, don't send me a friend request until I leave or whatever, or later on. And I'm like, what are you hiding? Like, okay, I guess. I mean, it's like, dude, I mean, that's just naturally where I guess where my head goes. Now, it doesn't mean they're doing that, but it just naturally, like, we live in a different time now, and I feel like you got to adapt. And if you really want to know your soldiers now, or you really want to know those who you're leading, or your team as a whole, your peers, subordinate, whatever, that's an open door that they're allowing you in, and hey, you can't be at their house, you can't be, especially those ones who live off base, you're just like, dude, I can't be there. But it's my way of knowing, hey, one of the big things, hey, I saw a post the other day. I wanted to talk to you real quick, man. Is everything okay? Everything okay at home? I just wanted, I'm not trying to get into the weeds, but I just want to make sure, are you good? Because if there's something we can help out on, or I can help you out on, hey, I'm going to do it, So I've always seen it as a platform for that. And I think more leaders should actually be openly to engage that rather than to shun away from it, and they hear the word fraternization or whatever. I'm like, dude, there's nothing like, okay, control yourself. Like you said, you can control what you can control.
Yep.
So control yourself. If you can't control yourself, okay, then by all means, if you're one of those, but if you're there to do your job, take ownership, do your duties and responsibilities. And one of them is the health and welfare of your soldiers. And sometimes, hey, that health and welfare is not always exploited in the workplace when the uniform's on. Sometimes it's when you're off base, it's off duty. And sometimes you can see if a soldier's going through something or whatever, you know. So I know I myself, I'm one of those included, you know, I go through tough times too myself. And sometimes I don't really, you know, I don't go talk to people, you know, at work or whatever, but my own time and my social media is like, hey man, if I'm channeling through thoughts or whatever, you know, I'm going through my own little resilience, you know, and I'm always more encouraged whenever I have someone, you know, especially from prior leadership or someone I work with, hey man, I just want to check on you, dude. Everything good? You know? And I'm like, hey, I appreciate that, you know? Yeah. Hey, going through this right now, but I appreciate you reaching out. Okay. You know, I'm always encouraged by that. So, you know, that's just me.
It works.
All right, guys. We're going to get ready. Do you got any last words for the team? Any comments, concern, anything you wanted to tie into or questions or anything you may have?
No, I mean, I think, and I mean, I've probably repeated myself like 3 or 4 times already, so I think I'm good.
Okay.
But I think just like you, man, when it comes down to social media, like you got to be willing to open yourself up to be able to get to know other people. And if you're not willing to open yourself up, why are other people going to open up to you?
Yeah.
If you're just a closed door, no one's going to open up that door.
They can't trust you.
So you got to be able to take a change and adapt to new times.
I agree.
And once you do that, you'll be able to be able to do what you need to do at that end. And as a leader, like those are necessities for you. The new age is different now. Like,
yeah,
it's not what it was back then. It's something new now. And you got to understand what's in front of you in order to be able to adapt, to be able to overcome, and to be able to lead in the best way possible. So I think if you can't open yourself up, then you're holding yourself back from a learning opportunity. So
very true.
Please go after that learning opportunity as much as you can. And if you transition outside of the military, same thing goes with a career field out there. Like, be a learning opportunity for yourself.
Exactly.
Like, there's jobs out there that might need you just because you have a special skill. How do you adapt that special skill into that job? So, like, be able to be an open, like a sponge, regardless of the age.
Yeah.
Like, be an open sponge. Go after better opportunities. Don't hold yourself back. Be the best you can provide for yourself, your family, and just go for your goal, dude. Like, go after it, and don't let no one stop you. Don't let yourself stop you. Like, that's the number one person. The number one person for me is the person I see in the front of the mirror. That's the person that stops me first. And so that is my competition every day.
David Goggins shit right there.
Hey, I may read
the man in the mirror.
I may read those books. I may see those videos every day, but I think it's true to me. Like,
yeah, it's true.
For me personally, I think the one person that stops me is me.
Yeah, it's true.
If I can defend myself against me every time, and I know I'm gonna try to win, then I'm gonna go for that win, regardless of how hard I'm hitting myself. I'm gonna try to win. So why not do that?
I agree.
That's where I leave it at.
Dang. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Hey, what do you guys think of that? Huh? What do you think of that? Yeah, I agree. Woo! Very motivational. Very motivational. All right, guys. Hey, we're going to get ready to go ahead and wrap things up here. Hey, I see you guys out there. Hey, I see you. Lopez, I see you over there. Lopez comes in on the Twitch side of the house. He says, hey, senior leaders and both fathers. Hey, how do you feel about and how do you handle when soldiers believe that soldiers with kids get out of things more than single soldiers without kids? Ooh, that's a good question.
That is very good question.
That's a good question. What do you got there?
Ooh, so when people who have children get away with not being able to do something, and then the single soldiers have to take over that. Is that what I'm interpreting?
Yes, that sounds like what he's getting at.
So I would say that blows for the for the single soldier, unfortunately. Like, go have kids. No, in general, like, no, you should probably go have kids. But no, in general, it does seem that way. But I think, like, you have to look at it more as an adult in your own figure. Like, are these people providing?
Thank you for that follow there, Treadway.
Are these people providing to their family because they're also leading that family? So, yeah, they have to go away and be able to, like, take care of the kid and have an excuse, but you don't know what's going on in the background. So you got to be able to understand where this person's coming from and say, hey, this person has a lot on their plate. Unfortunately, you're the only person who doesn't have anything holding you back. I trust you to do the job. Yeah. That's where it comes down to. That's why I chose you to finish what needs to get done. Yeah, exactly. And that's all it comes down to. Like, you can't just blame. If you blame someone else, you're only adding into the complaints the entire time. Provide solutions and to be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. And then if that person's having a hard time, then, hey, guess what, leader? That's your time to be like, hey, how do I get you to be, to be able to assess your situation and be able to provide you a solution as well?
Oh, yeah. I think the one word that definitely comes into play in that situation is balance, and you definitely have to properly balance out that workload. So if you're giving here and you're taking over here, well, then come to a balance where then you can give here and then take from there, because there is that shared understanding that a team should have, and they should, and understand that, hey, if my teammate obviously has a family and has children and is afforded some time to ensure the safety and security of his family, his or her family and children, then the other teammates have to pick up that workload. Well, then I hope that we also are incorporating some type of balance where then that soldier can give and take away also and take some of that load off of those other teammates. Because then once they see that balance, then you kind of reinforce that trust, and that's what you really want to focus on in that sense. But that's a great question. And I would definitely put balance as your focus on that term, and figure out a way you can always ensure that trust with your teammates. Let's see, for sure, future show. Jeremiah, thank you for that follow on the Twitch side. Hey, Daniel on the YouTube. Hey, I see you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. No, you're not in history class. Let's see here. And then on the Twitch side, hey, I love both those inputs, man. Thanks, guys. Hey, something to struggle with answering and handling, and always good to ask y'all who have been around and the block a few times. Yes, we have definitely been around the block a few times. But yeah, man, I hope that answers your question. I would definitely use the word balance. Let that word be your fortitude when it comes to actioning that, and you're using that balance to take care of yourself, but then you're also incorporating the balance amongst the team to reinforce that trust, and with that, I mean, you can pretty much accomplish anything, Yeah. Okay, guys. Hey, thank you for that. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the chat input, team. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. There's power in presence, and you guys have all demonstrated that as well, just being here and being present for the live broadcast. And those of you who are watching later on, if you're watching later on in the YouTube side, hey, by all means, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. Hey, feel free to share it to anybody who you think can benefit from the content that we're putting out here. And I really thank you guys for being here. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Do you have any words of encouragement for the team as we wrap up here? No? Okay, guys. Hey, you already know we're here every Tuesday, every Thursday, 8:30 Central Standard Time, Comfort and Chaos podcast. I will see you guys on the next one. As you already know, guys, don't forget, do your push-ups, take your vitamins, drink your water, and most importantly, guys, continue mission, that mission of life All right, don't hesitate to create an opportunity or seize a memory. All right, or wait, vice versa. There you go. Seize an opportunity, create a memory. There you go. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
It's been one of those nights. Yeah, I thank you for that, Ray. I appreciate that. Let's get a big hell yeah. All right, guys. Hey, I will see you on the next episode on Tuesday, Central Standard Time. And as you know, team, also, I'm doing, I'm going back to the exclusive streams over on the Twitch side. So if you haven't already followed me on Twitch, guys, follow that because we only do exclusive streams on Twitch where it's a little bit different. We have a little fun and we play games and stuff. So I hope to see you guys there as well. All right, guys. Hey, from my world to yours, you have a good night. Be safe, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next episode, team. Night all. Say good night, dude.
Good night.